Okay, welcome everybody to the regular meeting, Monday, July 8th, 2024 for the Village Board of Trustees here at 121st Street, Swanton, Vermont. Call to order, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was a little in stereo, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're on a little bit of a sound delay. It was popping through like,
Wait a minute, that's not where I was.
Okay.
like a backup chorus a little bit.
Little League,
What's that?
Little League Greenwood.
There we go. Agenda review. Does anybody need to add anything to the agenda this evening?
I don't see anything.
Okay. Moving right along to public comment. Anybody in the public want to comment on anything? Anybody joined in other than Adam?
Just Adam.
Just Adam? Okay. Siobhan?
I have a question, but I don't know. It's regarding the executive session taken on 6/24/24.
Okay.
Electric department, the plans for 120, is it 124 First Street?
124, yes.
But would that be good to wait till 8 and the electric update comes up, or would it be best to just ask my question now?
Just ask it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, so I attended part of that meeting virtually, and then I watched the rest of it on Northwest Access TV. If I didn't read the meeting minutes, I wouldn't have known about the executive session. So I do have a question about, like, I was led to believe that if an action is taken in executive session, that it should be included in the recording. Does anybody know if that's true or not? Like, what, if action is taken?
So it's not necessary, Siobhan. They go into executive session, channel 16 is here, they have to exit, we all have to exit the room. A lot of times we'll just say there's no sense of waiting around. If we make a motion, go back into open session, we'll forward you that information, or it'll be in the minutes. So it's not necessary that the camera stays and comes back on. It could be an hour, it could be 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was
So we
almost
don't have
like an
them
hour
wait
or so.
usually, we just don't usually have them wait, but the action is recorded, they go back, they move to go back into open session, a motion's made, seconded, and it's recorded in the minutes.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's recording the minutes, but that's what I was wondering, because I've been the videographer before and then waited, and then long sessions, and then, because
Then it's not-
Northwest Access is still paying the person to be there,
That's
so you have to
right.
think, equitably too.
So a lot of
so-
times the board will just say, we don't know how long we're gonna be, there could not be an action, there might be an action, but it does end up as recorded in the minutes.
Eugene.
I was reading about some changes in the law. Have there been some that affect us?
Yeah, so I mentioned that at our last meeting, effective July 1st, we now have to post on our website a recording of the meeting. So what I do is take Channel 16's meeting off YouTube and post it to our website. So there you'll find our agenda, our minutes, the recording of the meeting,
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
video of the meeting.
But coming back to her question, if we take any action, how are we gonna record it?
It's only recorded in my minutes. It's not an actual video.
Oh,
It's not a video.
Oh,
That part is
I'm
not video, but it's
misunderstanding.
recorded in the minutes.
I misunderstand the
Yeah.
word recording.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
also on that, just to point out too, like, if I wasn't a person who watches the videos but also checks the minutes, like, and just watch the video, I would have never known about the action that was taken until it was talked about again, and et cetera. So it is good to have that, but,
Yeah.
as long as it's not like illegal to not follow and do
No.
so, that's good too.
No.
So my question is, the action that was taken was to sign a contract with Wayman and Lanphier Architects in the amount of $325,245 for architectural design services and engineering coordination for 124 First Street to be paid by the electric department. I assume that means that the plan going forward was obviously to build a new electric department over there if the electric department's paying for it. But like, I thought that we were gonna have more, like the open houses you did for the safety facility proposal, I know that was a voted thing, and with the electric department, it's a business, but it does depend on, you know, people paying these rates, you know, myself included, and et cetera, but, it was mentioned in some minutes and other meetings about next steps and whatnot, but, like, I just wanna say, I guess I'm just surprised that, like,
So
we didn't
Bill,
do,
do you wanna answer that, or?
like,
Yeah, if it's okay with the board,
Go ahead.
I'll be
and
happy
also,
to-
while you're answering it, like,
Yeah.
what does that cover? Is it just, like,
Covers-
design
No, it
and?
covers everything. So anticipated between 2, could be 3 years away. So it doesn't just go from that vote to the building is built overnight. There will be public information sharing sessions and things like that. So the first step is contract. They do a design. Remember, they have about 80% of all the civil work done on that site because of the public safety building. So we're actually able to harness the power of that, the efficiency of that, utilize them to give us a plan on anywhere between a 12 and 14,000 square foot building. And then once we start to get that design down and it's approved by the trustees, then we can start having informational meetings. But that, the whole process, so that contract is actually, because it's deceiving. People are reaching out saying, that's a lot for just design. It's for everything, right through construction management till the day the project is done.
But it's not construction itself, it's just the contracts and the design and architect, that would be the construction firm unless that, they do that too, but
They do not, right.
I've noticed like other ones, like at 60,000 or 12,000, there's things that happen and then they get shelved, like the sidewalk up to the school or other things, but like I've never seen it that high, so I can understand where, you know, I hope you guys see that too, where it's concerning 325,000 and, you know,
Well, that's.
how much are you holding to, say something happens and you have to back out, how much do you contractually have to pay up of that 325?
Whatever we utilize as part of that contract for their services. So for example, if we just did design, and for whatever reason, we were $30,000 into design work, and everybody said, you know what, we're not gonna move forward, then we would not owe any more.
Okay. That sounds good. It's good to know that, you know, it's not the whole 325, you sign a contract and,
Right.
you know, we just go step by step. I'm glad to hear that there's gonna be more informational meetings about what's planned for next door.
Right.
But, you know, you see where, as you said, you have people calling and saying that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
You know, it's good to know those little bit of details in between it. So that's what I'm here to ask. Yeah, and
And Bill, and just to tag along on the public informational things, you know, we had informational meetings on the public safety building, very poorly attended, in my opinion. And I would like to hope that if we're going to do public informational meetings like we did for the public safety building, people actually show up. You know, I don't wanna find out through Facebook and these folks that are hiding, I don't wanna find out that they're complaining about it. You know, show up and have the discussion face to face. So,
Well,
That's
that's
my
a
sense.
good point, Adam, but I think another point is a lot of people now are watching everything either through the internet or they're watching the YouTube videos, which are usually out a day after the meeting, long before they have access to the meeting minutes.
Well, the minutes are done within 5 days,
Yeah.
and the video's not usually out in a day, what'd you say, usually 3 or 4 days?
Varies, yeah.
So
It varies, usually it's not too long.
It's within that 3 to 5 day period.
Go ahead, Sean.
if I may say though, I gotta disagree a little bit, cause I feel like some of the meetings did have quite a bit of people attending. Not all of them, the 10 a.m.s weren't big hits, and weekends maybe sometimes, but you also did a really good job of putting out 37 meetings and giving ample opportunity for people to pick a day, to plan ahead, et cetera. And I feel also like I get the Facebook thing, but I personally utilize it for information sharing and communication, and it has been helpful. And I mean, this day and age is 2024, if most of our most important statements coming from our politicians, presidents and all that are on Twitter or X and all this other stuff, we gotta start learning how to utilize it as well.
and I appreciate you being here tonight, Siobhan. You know, it means a lot, at least to me, because we're
Yeah.
having civil discussion.
Yeah.
You know, it's the ones that, and I'm not gonna go there at this point in time, but, they know who they are, and I just, you know, let's meet face to face. I don't hide.
No, I get that as well, you know, that's the statement, the keyboard warrior who can say things online but not show up to meetings are where the actions are had, and it's more on the books, it's recorded, it's in the minutes, and it definitely helps, but at the same time, there's reasons why we're on Teams or Zoom, or we have Facebook. I've utilized Facebook Live. I thought about maybe doing it here tonight, but I was like, nah, this is recorded, etc. And I personally don't have a microphone to help, you know, volume and all that. But, you know, we also, you know, there's still positive in that, because there's a lot of good feedback that you get back from people. Even today, people are talking about the yellow markers along Merchants Row and the turn there, and etc. I've picked them up a couple times myself. And I asked the question, you know, and I'll say it here, you know, when they do the scoping study and all that stuff for Merchants Row, maybe there'll be something included to improve that S curve, because that's what people are saying. It's trucks can't do the S, it's the yellow, etc. But like I said, you know, there's positives. If you look for the positives, it works a lot better, and there's always gonna be negative Nancy's, no offense to Nancy's, but, you know, there's gonna be, and you just have to, you know, do what we're doing, sit, talk civilly, bring your discussion to you guys, email if you can't be here, and etc. That's all.
Yeah, I'm available 24/7, 366.
Do you also still sit in the chamber?
Yes, ma'am.
And sitting in the chamber? He's available at
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Chamber of Commerce building?
Yep, not this week, but, you know, the chamber will be open through right up to Labor Day,
What are the hours?
9 to 4, Monday through Thursday.
Look for the light on.
Motel 6,
Uh,
leave the light on.
But, you know, at the same time, I think we could have put this on the agenda and let people know that we were gonna formally start pursuing the next step versus just talking about it vaguely, right? And then they could have attended the meeting, and they could have been part of the discussion, part of the vote.
Yeah. I mean, was
Well,
there
well-
other options looked at? Like, was it just, you know, like last time, was it just that one idea and this is what we'd like to do? Or like just the electric department moving? You know, a lot of people brought up a lot of suggestions as to
So
what.
we discussed, since we've talked about this, we've had in the minutes, we can talk about what we've discussed in an executive session before about the electric department.
About this contract, you can, yes.
Okay, so we have discussed in the past, when the public safety building failed, what were we going to do? Because would everybody in this room still agree there's still a space issue here? There's still a space issue that needs to be solved. So we discussed that the idea was to move the electric department to the asset that we already have, because it would not burden the taxpayers, which would happen if we moved the fire department or the police department. The rate payers are the ones who are going to have to shoulder the burden of the electric department, but that's a bigger pool of people.
4,000 customers versus 1,000 taxpayers. 4,000 ratepayers versus
Yeah.
1,000 taxpayers.
No, it's a good theoretical economic strategy and solution to some of the space, solving it ourselves economically versus putting it on the property taxes for the village trustees, or for the village taxpayers,
Taxpayers.
and the village trustees. But I think, you know, going forward, I think it would have been great to have, like I said, I'm not sure it needed to be even an executive decision. We could have just had it in a normal meeting and had a talk
That's
to
up-
the public.
That's up to all of you. That's the trustees'
The
call, whether they
trustee.
want an executive session or not.
But,
So the discussion that was had about the contract on 6/24/24 was an executive session. However, they had the discretion to have it in an open meeting and conversation. Well, it's good to know that, you know, because Cause you know, it does put you at a disadvantage with contracts, et cetera, but at what point are you allowed to start talking about it in public? As soon as possible, you know, makes sense, maybe before you sign a contract, you know, especially. Just to even have, you know, reaching out to the, you know, the ratepayers.
Right.
There's gonna be, I know there's gonna be an update on electric, or hydro and all that, but, you know, isn't there like 2 turbines that are down? And that's producing less, so, you know, this is a long term, so it all goes hand in hand, and there's questions and details, and, I mean, like David said, it would've been nice to have that discussion, like, put it on the agenda, open meeting, public hearing, this is what we're talking about for our next steps. What do you all think, what questions do you have? You know?
Right.
But we've talked about in open meeting about doing exactly what we're doing. You know, I wanted the numbers before anything, because I need to feel comfortable with the decision to move ahead. But we've talked about this building in open session, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
I guess I mean a special meeting, like a special open house, like you did the 37 of them for the safety facility. A separate meeting, separate from the regular trustees, you know, if you had to, a couple of them at different times to let people know or have time to be able to come and discuss what the new plans are. It is in your minutes and it is talked about, and a lot of people don't show up, but then this is where we're left with Facebook conversations, you know, and people still have thoughts and concerns. And then you have people like me and others that will try to answer questions, come to meetings, ask questions, read minutes, watch videos, etc. I'm just trying to help streamline communication and learning along the way as I do. And I think we all learned from the failed safety facility proposal that the public wants to be aware whether or not you have the right for property with or without a vote, you know, and things like that.
Yes, and, you know, we will still have to bond for this eventually, and we will still need the public to support, just because, even though it won't be a property tax thing, it'll be a different funding mechanism. And, you know, we want that process to go well, and I think if we're just always talking about it openly in the meetings and giving the public a chance to see it, we're not making decisions in executive discussion and then popping out when everybody's gone, I think that could cause a lot less public
Yeah.
exasperation.
Okay, so when we talk about like properly warning things and having conversations, everything we've just talked about wasn't properly warned. So anybody who wanted to come to be part of this discussion that we're having has just lost that opportunity because we didn't properly warn it.
Right, but we're not gonna make a decision to sign a $325,000
Yeah,
contract.
but anything that we discuss in open meeting should be warned. That's open meeting law.
Correct.
You put it on the agenda as something that's, this right now is still under public comment for this
I mean,
meeting.
right, this
This
is
is where
public
this will
comment,
show
and it's
up,
not a motion to
you
be
know,
made, so it
and,
didn't need to be
you
You know,
warned.
this
It's
is
not,
where
but
discussions
it's
start to
still-
happen, but let's,
It's
Right,
still
this is
something
different
that
than-
should be,
Technically different.
But those will
if we're
come,
talking,
those will come. You guys just approved the
Yep.
engineering cost. All those other topics are gonna come up and be part of our agendas.
yeah.
You're gonna know exactly what the cost is gonna
Right.
be, how it's gonna affect your rate. That'll all be discussed and have public hearings, it'll all be brought forward to the public.
Yeah, I mean, we could have had that discussion privately when we first learned about it, which was just in the meeting, without any prior knowledge. And we could have come out and said, well, we still need to discuss this openly, publicly, and go through those motions, and not do the final vote and have the public there to do part of the discussion, part of the vote, until the following meeting. And probably that would have been an easier way, or less difficult, or cause less issues with what we're doing and how we're doing it, and keeping the commitment to trying to be openly as transparent as possible and keep things smoothing, and not start this process with a gripe and, well, we're doing that again. And then go through all those motions in that way so that we can keep a smooth path forward, and we don't have any repercussions when it comes back to the time when we go to public bond for the project.
So if I may, a
Yep.
couple points of clarification. I think we would have an angry room full of people if we asked for a public meeting now. Throw any question out there, we can't answer it. This is a concept to build a new electric department. Can't tell you how many square feet, how many rooms, how many bays, none of that.
Yep.
That's what this process is designed to do.
Sure. But we could have that discussion about that process, that we're not defining anything yet. This is how we're moving forward, this is what we think, we now think it's time to officially take action.
Sure.
Where we had officially talked about not doing anything about 124 for a while after the public safety issue, building proposal. When we first came on board after the election, that's what we had agreed to. And this was,
Actually, when we first came on board, the agreement was that they were going to look in-house to see what they thought was the best plan to move forward, and then Bill was going to come to us to say what he had decided with department heads. That was what we had agreed to. That was what was, and then we started talking about moving the electric company to 124 and what could we do for the police department here. That was what we had agreed to when we first came on board.
If I may,
yep,
I remember reading some of those minutes, I think they were in April meeting, you talked about the next action steps, and Bill would come in with ideas, but I think I'm still stuck with the part where there was no harm in having a public meeting, again, to discuss, you know, specifically just the issue of what's gonna happen next door and the next plans, the ideas that you have, and I understand that a lot of the meeting, you know, you can't answer right now and it could make people upset, but I think the absence of even the little bit of information that is available makes people upset already. I mean, for
But we're given
example,
information, that's what I don't understand.
if I may, for example, the bonding, you know, well, there's not just Swanton Village residents or Swanton Town residents that use electric, doesn't it go up to Highgates a little bit?
It does, yes.
That would mean, that extends the vote into other municipalities as well.
No, it doesn't.
There's like,
It does not.
no?
No.
Just-
We own
The other
it.
point of clarification is there's no requirement for us to go to public vote on this bond. Since 2019 of the legislature, this is an electric department expense.
Which is proprietary, right? The electric department is proprietary, it doesn't fall under general.
It's
doesn't-
an exemption. They have to qualify for certain parameters. I believe that we certainly do that. Doesn't mean that we're gonna hide things, but this does not require a bond vote.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It
that-
requires
A
a
bond,
vote,
but, you know.
correct, a bond, of
A vote
course.
within the trustees
That's correct.
and not
That's right.
But the rate-
taxpayers.
but
So
the,
well, see, that little question people would be thinking too, like
Right.
bonding with different people, you know, and that clears that up.
Right.
but all the information will be presented as far as what this will cost, what it'll do to the rates, if anything, if nothing, we don't know yet, but all that will be presented.
When is the contract that was signed, when is that supposed to begin, or has it already begun?
When they and we have time to begin, which neither one of us does right now.
No, it's
Cleveland Lanphier
B6
doesn't have the
bridge and-
capacity, and nor do we at this point. So we have not had one dialogue after signing the contract.
Is it
simply
like,
get into the loop, so to speak, and wait for that process to open up.
But Siobhan, to answer the question about the public forum, we literally, maybe 19 out of 20 questions, we would be like, it's too premature, we can't answer. When we have a little bit of design work behind us, then we can say, here's the square footage, here's the anticipated cost, here's how many bays, here's what it's gonna look like.
no,
We're not there yet.
okay. Any estimation, is it like a next year project, like when are you gonna get to that?
Oh, like shovel in the ground,
No,
fast
no,
track,
like for
wouldn't even
the,
be next
when you
year.
get to the public conversation, you know, and what's, like, where does that fall into the steps?
How do we know?
We don't know yet.
Does it say?
It depends on their ability. They're obviously capable, it comes down to capacity. for
And
that.
I'm sure every meeting that'll be part of his village manager updates.
Updates.
It'll, you know, any little bit that he has to offer, he'll offer.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? And thank you very much, Siobhan. And Eugene, and everybody else.
I'm fine.
You're good? Okay. Number 5. Ed Daniel, past village president and trustee presentation.
Great, so have a Swanton Village Board of Trustees, management and employees would like to recognize Edward F. Daniel for his 12 years of service as a trustee and his 3 years of service as village president. Thank you, Ed. We appreciate your many years of service to the village of Swanton. Village trustee from 1977 to 1998. Village president from 1996 to 1998.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. It's been a good 45 years that I've been involved.
Very
When-
We
when-
appreciate
when my term expires in end of January with the town,
nice,
that'll be 45 years.
nice.
It's been a good time. It's been an educational time. Our president working with these youngsters up to school, we had many good times. I remember one in particular, when the department had left, I took his job, and it was gonna teach local government. Well, boy, that was right up my alley.
That was.
And I still remember one young girl, she says, "Can I take this book home?" One of the annual reports. Sure. So the next day, her father comes in yelling at me and everything else. I said, "What's the matter?" He says, "Look at this. My daughter was reading this book last night." I said, "What's wrong with that book? It's town report." She says, "Look at, you got it right in here. I didn't pay my taxes this year." And his daughter looked at him and said, "Why didn't you pay your taxes back?" And so she says, "Why don't people?" And you know, so we took it to the next step, but there was a lot of good times over the past time of years. And the zoning board has been an interesting thing, and that's only down to 2 months, and then I'm gonna retire for good.
Good for
Enjoy
you.
their time, so, thank you very
Let's
much.
get,
Thank
let's
you.
get a photo with you and the current board. Dwayne and I will step out with the seal behind us here. I
Okay,
think that'd be a
all
good
right.
photo.
Thank you for your service, Ed.
Al, thank you.
I worked with Ed.
You're right in the middle.
Right in the middle, oh
Right in the
boy.
middle.
I think I worked with Ed.
Got two bald-headed people here in the middle.
I think I worked with you for 10 years. It
Yeah,
was
something
always-
like that, yeah,
Always fun.
yeah,
And you were always in favor of the things at the village.
yeah. And I
If we
think,
get a quick one with all of you in
I
there,
have
I'll
one
take
more
one.
thing I wanna see it changed before. We gotta look at this thing where they
You gotta get into.
close the roads to collect money for,
Thank
you.
We'll send them.
I had a couple people approach me this week that we should put a toll on the bridge.
well, yeah.
Oh,
At
boy.
10,000 cars a
Is
day,
this-
right,
is-
for $1.
Just going out here and having,
like, Matt, come
stopping traffic, like,
They make it automatic now.
Oh, the.
Plate readers just goes in the
Right.
mail.
it's time to put it in. But good.
How do you think that'd go over?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate
You
it.
bet.
Good
Thank you.
job, Ed, thank you very much.
Good night.
It's just that.
Now, well,
Did you want the
Where's my
phone,
wife?
Mr. Daniel?
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. He was good to work with.
All right.
3 years.
Lay down. Down.
I take a few.
Okay, number 6,
You're all set?
approve and accept minutes from Monday, June 24th, 2024, meeting as presented.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion carried. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. twice.
It's okay.
Number 7, approve and accept village warrants through Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024.
I make a motion approving accept the minutes through Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second motion. Any further discussion?
I have one discussion item from warrant 68. Beamer's payment for $163,806.03.
Big one.
It is. Beamer's.
That is our retirement plan, and that's contribution from employees and employer.
Thank you.
That's like once a year type of thing, or is that every month?
Oh.
I don't know.
We'll have to verify the
I
frequency.
don't
That
know
seems
how-
too large
that
for a
seems
month.
too large for a monthly.
That's not,
I
that's
thought
not a
maybe it was
month.
quarterly. That
Quarterly?
was my thought, was it was,
But remember, everybody's in it. And
right,
there's 41 full-time.
right.
So, and it's employee share
Yep.
and employer share.
So it could be monthly.
I don't think it is, but it's probably quarterly.
It's probably quarterly,
Yeah.
but we
We'll
will
find out.
definitely find out.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Good question.
Yeah, it is, that's a good question.
Get it right out.
Okay, so, discussion's over. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
He's
All
on a
in-
delay, so you get
All,
a.
motion carried. All in favor, yes. And, number 8, all right, Swanton Village Electric Department update with Dwayne Kuchar.
Okay, let me see if I want to share this
Yeah.
presentation.
The big topic of discussion for tonight.
I'm gonna go share.
And Adam, we'll just have you yell out when you do see the screen and the presentation, please. Maybe not yell, but just acknowledge.
I see half of me.
I see half of you as
Yeah,
well.
that's what we see also.
There you go. I see a calendar, there we go. I don't know.
I can't read that.
Make bigger
Did you
screen, huh?
move all your poles in Highgate, Noin?
Did I move all of
You should move the poles roadside
We
on
did, that
Highgate.
section has been on road.
Road.
Yes. Yes, that section.
Again? Yeah.
They needed it, I
Yeah, that's what he said.
Can you see it, Adam?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good, okay.
Excellent. Dwayne,
It's all yours.
Yes.
take it away.
All right. Well, I think we can step off of this one and go to the next slide.
Oh,
This is just a presentation of the org chart as it sits right now for everyone that works beside me or under my supervision. And our responsibilities are supply power to roughly 4,000 customers, maintain the substation and the power lines for transmission and distribution, to maintain our electric meters as well as reading them, providing mutual aid to local and non-local power companies during all these storms, these natural disasters that we are getting more and more of. Which I'd like to point out that doesn't cost the electric department. We are, in those mutual aid deals, they reimburse us anytime we go to those, to assist. And one of the key things is maintaining a safe work environment, obviously. Supplying and maintaining our power lines, maintaining existing lines, line improvements, moving power lines to increase reliability like we did last year with moving the Romo Road roadside instead of being cross-country on some old poles that weren't even safe to climb anymore. I think the newest one back there was, I think 1971 or something like that. The rest were in the 60s, what we could read.
Okay.
So, yeah, they were getting very bad. And we have a lot of 1960 poles in the system. Just as an update for you guys, that they have 50-year life expectancy. So they've exceeded that. They've done well for us. So that's one of our main issues that we're looking at right now. So when we're talking about building new lines as needed, most of that is not reconductoring. Most of that is already been done, but a lot of the poles weren't replaced necessarily that needed to be. So we're working on a lot of that. Of course, any new customers, we have to create the estimates for them. Ensuring equipment that's well maintained, not only our stuff that's out there on the field, in the lines, but also the equipment that we use, our bucket trucks, our digger trucks, maintaining all that stuff in working order. Ensure a safe work environment, providing continuous safety training, which we do monthly, and which we are always constantly checking our gear, which are rubber gloves that we use, which provides us safety. That's something that those have to be rotated every 6 months, tested every 3 months, 6 months for them. So, and that's expensive. That's an expense for sure that I'm sure you guys see coming through on our department. Electric meters, like I said earlier, they are maintaining an existing current metering system, which is approximately 4,000 customers each month. We have to do our disconnects for non-payers as well as reconnects. Swanton Village is currently working on to integrate a new smart metering system, which is remote metering, which we're still working on getting that implemented. So that data will come right back into the office. You won't have to physically go out and read the meters. I like to point out that that does not replace the meter reader. His job rolls into a different entity. There will be different roles for that person. So that does not go away. You still have to, some meters still may have to physically be read as well, a few, it's a possibility of. And that also is, where he'll have to, if one of them's not working, he'll be the one to program them, he'll be the one to maintain them as well.
Is this the AMI?
This is the AMI, yes. Now, can you go back to that, Di, please?
Yeah.
Which this also integrates into our mapping system, which is our GIS system, which for outage management. So part of this all will work in conjunction with that. It's a little bit longer process. It'll take us, a few years to get all of that implemented and going. It's not a quick thing, but we are working on our GIS as well.
So in theory, Dwayne, when we have an outage 2 years down the road and AMI and GIS are fully integrated, you will not have to guess and use your light at 2 o'clock in the morning in a storm. GIS will tell you exactly where within a certain proximity of where your outage is.
Oh, not even a proximity. We'll know exactly who doesn't have power.
Right.
Yes.
Can you tell me what AMI and GIS stand for?
Good question.
Yes, yes. If you'll flip the screen.
To the
back
next.
To the next one.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was on that next one. But it is GIS is geographic integrated, geographic
I think it is integrated system.
integrated systems.
Yeah.
And AMI is automated metering.
Geographic information systems, and
Automated
then AMI.
is automated metering infrastructure or something like that, I believe.
Sounds like it might be appropriate.
Sounds pretty good, but you are on camera, so I'm looking forward to researching this.
Yes. Yeah.
So when so it's all, there's a network of, it communicates with the system there are receivers throughout the community of where these meters are, so to speak.
So as far as the meters, the way that they work is they will go to hold on, I gotta give you another anagram. They will go to a DCU,
Okay.
which is, we have 15 of them scheduled to be located throughout the system. And what it is the meter communicates to the DCU, which then in turn sends that information back to the office here. If you're gonna ask me what DCU stands for, I actually forgot that right now off the top of my head. And the water meters, which is also gonna be integrated in with this, which I have on another slide to mention that. That is an MTU that communicates that stuff back to the office as well.
So, but if the power system goes out, the grid goes
It
out,
maintains
it
all the
maintains all the
information
information.
for like, Ooh, do you remember that, 30 days or?
It's close to that.
significant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Significant amount of time that it maintains all that information.
So DCU is a digital control unit.
Thank you.
Asking the wizard there.
So, yeah, the mutual aid and support, so Swanton Village Electric provides mutual aid and support, like I said, to local and non-local power companies during times of natural disaster. Currently, we are collaborating with Enosburg for on-call, so originally one of the biggest things is both of our utilities are smaller utilities, and we were having guys that were on call every 2 weeks. You're on call, so it really cuts to, you know, when you can leave, when you can do stuff. It was taxing on most utilities, which we are now the envy because we've collaborated with Enosburg, where one of their guys and one of us are on call together, which means now it's every 4th week that you roll around and be on call. We cover both territories, the 2 guys, together. But because we do safety meetings together with them, we're very familiar with both territories. Most of us, well, I should say, 3 of us had came from Enosburg originally, so we actually knew their system pretty well. And that helped to make this transition piece. And the young guys are picking up things very well. So it's working out. Both companies are very happy with the way it's working. So that is, a lot of the other companies wish they had something like this, and some of them are looking into it right now to see if they can get other ways of doing something similar.
People in the other companies in the VESPA.
Some are in BEPSA, and some are even like the VECs and the GMPs
really?
are trying to figure out, you know, how can we do this even within our company? Can we do something like this?
Yeah,
But-
Dwayne's being modest, it's because of his leadership and the fact that he really has facilitated this whole thing. And it is a small miracle. We're a non-union shop, they're a union shop. It shouldn't work for a lot of reasons, but it works incredibly well because of the people that are in leadership positions in both places.
Well, Enosburg's union?
They are,
Yes, union, so.
and we're not.
Is it town or Enosburg Village, or is it?
It is Enosburg Village.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously with the electric company, they're well outside of Enosburg, Bakersfield,
I just
Shelburne.
know they have a similar, you know,
Setup that we do.
setup,
Yeah.
yeah, we do
Yeah.
here. And I would like to say, anytime power's been out, like, your department has been amazing with getting the power. I've seen it back on in an hour.
Depends on what things are, what happens to
Yeah.
anybody, but for us as well, you know, I mean, we worked very hard diligently the whole crew, to maintain what we've got and to keep our customers on.
How far down Route 7 does Swanton Electric go? Down towards
Do you know where
St.
Fonda Junction is? That little pull-off, what they call Fonda Junction?
Is it like the biggest pull-off around the
On
turn?
the
that
right,
goes
right
in?
now,
By
there's a
the
tree
railroad
Near
laying
the
out.
train?
Yeah,
You know,
just
yeah.
before that train.
So just before that, our power lines,
I don't know if it's still there, but a few days ago I did see a tree still.
that
being
is, and
up.
that's on phone and cable that goes through there, that's
Yeah.
beyond us.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Just because I saw it and I was thinking
If
it.
it was ours, it wouldn't be there anymore.
That's what I thought. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what I said. I'm like, are we sure Swanton Electric even goes down that far? Because
Yep, we
they
don't.
wouldn't let that hang.
Yeah, yep, we actually don't.
Very good.
No, I can remember when we were little kids, when the power went off in the village, it was off for like a day, 2 or more.
Yeah.
And everybody had to huddle around, do something, get little portable heaters. But in the modern era of the electric company, even
Yeah.
during the ice storm, it
They-
never went out.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
done a huge amount of work to this electric system to bring it to where it is today, prior to even my 28 years here. So, yes.
Yeah. You know, I get clients who like, can I put up a backup generator? And I'm like, where are you? I'm in the village. I'm like, why would you?
Yeah.
It doesn't go out more than 10 minutes at the most, you know?
We try very hard.
Yeah.
Safety obviously is one of our biggest things, and we take a lot of pride in trying to be, have a clean record, you know, with no accidents, no incidents. So a lot of that comes down to our monthly safety training sessions, which includes, you know, obviously pole top rescue, bucket rescue, which is done yearly. A lot of stuff is mandated that we have this every year, you know, CPR, first aid, every year. There's quite a few different things that we have to have every year. And like I talked about earlier, you know, our rubber gloves, our sleeves, our bucket trucks, the testing that has to get done on them. for all the dielectric testing that gets done to maintain that we are safe when we're working on those power lines. Most of the time, we don't work deadlines. Most of the time, the power is on when we're working on them because everyone works from home now. Nobody wants their power off. You know, it has to be a situation where we deem it's not safe for us to do with our training before we kill the power. So transmission lines, we have to kill the power. We do not glove 48,000 volts. We only glove 12,470, 7,200. So, and that's considered distribution, not transmission. So, our projects, we are continuing to upgrade our systems. You know, replacing those H poles I spoke about a while ago. Still trying to move anything that is cross-country, roadside if it's possible. We are looking to put distribution lines underground if it's feasible, fiscally responsible, I should say, to move them underground where we can't get them roadside, which we do have some three-phase, feeds the border, which goes through Vermont Electric Co-op's territory if we were to try to go roadside. We currently we have a different path to get up to the border. We're looking at ways of possibly being able to put that underground, you know, to maintain the trees at that point, you know, it'd be a lot narrower. We just gotta look at what is out there, you know, there is grants, power bonds and stuff that might be available out there in the future. I think FEMA is looking at deciding that instead of spending all this money to help utilities get reimbursement for this storm that cost them, you know, millions of dollars, maybe it's better off if we help them beforehand put these things underground. So there's talk about that, and we have the means of looking into those things now.
We do.
So, which is very helpful. And that is, you know, we're continuing to implement, and that is working 2 or 3 days a week at least, where we have Ken Zaintamore working on our GIS to get that updated, the information that's in it, on our systems. Didn't think to bring what I have, you know, off our laptop. You know, you would have been able to see it here, but not necessarily, you know, on the camera or whatever. But to where the system is mapped, our whole system is. It's just a matter of getting all the data updated. And so we've come quite a long ways with that. He is working out of our Highgate substation and those circuits up there right now. It's a long process to go pole to pole and put every bit of information in it needs to be in. So it does take some time with that. So, and we're still working on the AMI. I have started implementing pole locations and setting the poles where those DCUs are going to be located. We're still waiting on a few things through VEPSA to get, you know, they have their approval for the funding that was allocated to VEPSA. Now it's just a matter of getting the right equipment and having everybody in place. Clara was the one that we deemed for the meters. They need to get with our billing software company, Cogsdale. They need to talk together to find out when that software package starts getting implemented. That has to get implemented before we can start implementing the meters out in the field. So,
Do you have roughly a rough idea when people are gonna start this?
we were hoping, I was hoping probably more than anybody, that it would happen starting this fall.
Okay.
But here we are already in July. I was already expecting to start putting up the DCUs by now. Still haven't got that in.
Those parts haven't arrived.
They haven't even arrived yet. I don't even know that they've been ordered yet. I keep being told, you know, yeah, we're close. We're almost at the point where these can be ordered. We're actually probably closer to being able to order the water meters that we're going to use than. But neither one is any good until the software package is in place.
Right, the network's gotta be
Yeah,
there.
so,
It will be 2025.
it's sure looking that way, is what I want to
Okay.
tell you folks, to be honest with you. 'Cause I've been working on this for 3 years now.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a little while.
And it's just been such a slow process. The wheels of government are really slow, obviously, we all know that. So, yeah. In conjunction, we continually are doing our tree trimming, both what we hire out and what we do ourselves. I will say that there's no question, you guys, I'm sure saw it, where we're over budget on that this year already. That emerald ash borer, if anybody has paid any attention to those ash trees, you know, you look at McQualm, you look at just about any place that there's an ash tree, it really hammered bad. You know, from a very short time to boom. Once they get there, those trees are dead. They're basically dry on the stump. If you cut one of them, they're dry. You can put them in the fire, they're that dry already.
Yeah, now you can see them, there's
Nothing.
holes all over the branches.
Yep, nothing comes, and so we had to spend money to get some of those removed that were leaning over the power lines before they cause us too much damage. So unfortunately for that, I was not planned at all. Challenges, it's always trying to keep our rates. We're proud of where we have our rates. We want to keep them that way. I know you guys talked about the new building and whatnot, or whatever that's gonna entail. Really, keeping our rates down is still where we want to be. So that is, you know, continuing to improve and upgrade our system, you know, and keeping it reliable. I struggle to get materials. I don't know. Still. Transformers, you know, I ordered one. The prices of them are tripled. You know, tripled, more than tripled, you know. One of our larger transformers paid about $20,000 for it in 2019. And now it was over 70. And the availability for it, I had to order it because we needed one of these. And the availability is May of next year.
Is it just because everybody's stressing to try to upgrade their networks and their lines to deal with?
No,
the
this is the manufacturers of
Manufacturer.
transformers really got behind with COVID. Some of their materials they couldn't get for the transformers, for certain meter switch gear and stuff like that. So there's a lot of materials that certain things had to be changed in legislation to allow certain materials to be used in these things that we could accept in this state, which they did. Supposedly that is supposed to eliminate some of this backlog on transformers. I haven't seen it yet, with the exception of some of my pole mounted transformers. Looks like the time frame I might be getting them earlier. I was just in contact with a distribution person, which maybe I might be linking in with someone that's gonna get me transformers back. I'm curious to see what the cost is gonna be, because even for my pole mounts, they tripled in price.
Is there an average service life for a pole transformer?
You know, that's a good question, and I've been asked that several times. You know,
Just demands on the load that's going through it and how long?
yeah, I mean, load will definitely, you know, if they're overloaded, obviously, you know, that's gonna shorten the lifespan. But man, there's transformers that have been out there for well over 50 years, you know, that, they're pretty resilient, you know, and usually what takes them out is lightning strikes, is, you know, car pole accidents, you know, things that physical damage from something more than the internal workings going bad. That being said, you know, yes, you know, when you look at our reports, at the end of the year, you see how many are equipment failure, how many are trees, how many are accidents, and those are a great thing to look at and see that very little is equipment failure, you know, when it comes to our stuff in this industry.
Dwayne, I don't see leadership continuity as one of your challenges. Are you ready to sign a 5-year contract extension right now? to
Probably,
keep it off there?
Wait,
probably
I thought
not.
it was 7, you usually say 7.
I
Probably-
tried today, I think 5's pushing it, so.
Okay,
Probably not.
But in all seriousness, one of the concerns from my point of view, leadership point of view, is the continuity in the electric department, because while he looks 36 years old, he's not, and he's not far from retirement. We want to make sure that we have a good continuity of leadership plan in place, which we do, but it also impacts the rest of the chain of command in his shop. So we just have to be mindful of that moving forward. Lock you in 4 years on camera right now. Just shake on it.
No, no,
Okay. 3?
no.
Hey, Dwayne, just a couple comments. You know, I do want to thank you and your crew for all the work that you do. You know, unfortunately, a lot of it goes unnoticed by the ratepayers and, you know, the public in general, but for those that do see what you guys are doing, you know, you're hearing it firsthand that, you know, they are very pleased. So, you know, on behalf of myself and everybody else, you know, we do thank you for your, you know, for everything that you do. Couple of questions. You had mentioned earlier that on new construction, you'll go and you'll give estimates for power.
Yes.
Do you do that for solar as well?
If somebody's putting in a solar project, yes. Yeah, any of that stuff, they would need it, I would have to do an estimate on what it's gonna cost for them to connect to our grid, to our system,
Okay.
No.
Okay.
or whatever we have to
And
supply.
my
and do.
last, go ahead.
Yeah, whatever we have to supply and do.
Right. My last question is, and I know you and I talked about it earlier, but I'll bring it up again. Back in 2016-17, the village trustees put an ordinance in with regards to other users using our utility poles and not removing lines in a timely manner. Talk to us about that.
Yes, we do have an ordinance in the village that you guys did pass, which I need to push harder for the companies that are attached to our poles that don't wanna come off the old pole, so where the dual poles are, the location. It is difficult to get them because there's no money in it for them, so they don't wanna send their people out, is one of the reasons. Number two, when I first started working here, some of these other companies, and I'm not gonna mention any names, but they had probably in just one garage locally that covered a lot less territory than they do today, had over 20 linemen. They are now down to probably 5, and they're covering more territory than they did. They just got recently told, I just heard this the other day, working with them to straighten some poles and fix some of our lines, that they were required or mandated not to only work 4 hours of overtime a week. After that, they are not to work any overtime. They're contracting a lot of their work out, but not enough of it to keep up with what they need to do. It's not a good situation for them or for us with the dual poles. I will work harder to try to eliminate what's going on as best I can.
So, and I'll throw the gauntlet out to Susie and Jean. How can we help? How can the trustees assist you in getting this done?
I think what we'll do is, I'll make sure that you guys see the letter that I send them with a list. I obviously can't give them the whole list and say, you've got X amount of days to do this. I will pick a group of polls throughout, I'll give them the list, we'll send it and we'll let them know, hey, these have been set and not transferred for, you know, probably 10 years.
Yep.
Send them
And
a copy of the
we're-
ordinance with it.
right, we'll send another copy of the ordinance with it. We'll give them X amount of time, you know, reasonable amount of time to get transferred. And then it would be, I guess, up to you guys to decide how we wanna do the fines and if,
Right, well, could we just do the work and then bill them?
unfortunately, it does say that we can do that in our agreement that we have. The problem with that is, I don't think we'd get our money if we did the work and bill them for it. And some of this work, we couldn't do, we're not qualified to do it, so we don't have the equipment. Even though working on
Doing,
poles,
like,
it is
cable
different,
lines,
it
it's
is
not
different
electric.
materials than what we use. So we'd be buying materials that aren't ours.
So it's not just as easy as just hanging them.
Yeah, it's not, maybe there, you might see one once in a while that we could just drive a J-hook in to move the thing over, that's different. But this is moving their big cables, moving some of their boxes and stuff like that. It's
So
just-
can we add a paragraph referencing the ordinance as well as what the alternatives are in the ordinance? And CC myself and the entire board.
And is the risk of the
Yep.
failing telephone pole, the communication lines or whatever they're hanging on, do they have an adverse effect on the newer poles being set right next to them or something?
Not usually.
Not usually,
No,
okay.
no, it is just the eyesore of
Right,
having two
the
poles
everywhere.
that don't need to be
Well,
there.
and
you know?
it's the eyesore and it's the opportunity for another car to hit. You take out an old one, then you're taking out both.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they will let material, trees, limbs hang on them
Oh, I
until
know.
they break.
No, there was one next to my building that sat there for I don't know how long, right?
Yeah.
And I think we started calling and it's like, that's not our, and I figured that out, and
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
day
so-
eventually,
I,
They got
I
handled.
will say that I think it helps, like when I do tell someone that it's not ours or whatever, it's not even in our system, like, which is, there is lines that go up through, Highgate Springs. We're not in Highgate Springs right here, we're up at the border on Highgate Springs, but we're not in the middle. A lot of times we get calls for those trees that are on those big heavy lines right there, they're not ours. But if the public calls, Public Service Board and stuff like that, or calls that company,
it does help.
it does help. That usually gets more response, than I get a lot of times,
Interesting.
so,
Siobhan.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Can I ask a question? I feel like there's a lot more information on this I'm just missing. Just to be clear, are you saying that other companies are using Swanton Village poles?
So,
Or-
our poles, most of them, if there's another company, they're jointly owned by us and them. So they're not strictly, unless they are just power lines on them, then they're just our poles.
And they pay a fee for that annually.
For example, like a cable company attaching,
Comcast,
is
yes.
that what you mean? Like-
Yeah.
Us and Consolidated Communications own poles jointly. If Comcast, if VTEL attaches to a pole, they pay a rental fee for those. So that's how it works.
You guys have an ordinance that could fine people, is that what you're saying?
If they don't transfer poles that are in the village limits, the board had passed an ordinance. So every day, if I give them a set amount of time to get off those poles, there is an ordinance for finding them, if they don't transfer. Whether we would ever get paid, that's a good question,
Thank you.
I'll do better, Adam.
No, you're not doing bad at all. It's just one of those things, and I know I pushed for it back when we started it, and I let it go by the wayside. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence as trustee and making sure that I'm supporting you folks.
Hey, I'm the electric commissioner.
That's okay.
But you all have a
Yeah.
good point. It might take another 5 years for Dwayne to get this right.
So he needs to
That's
what I
stay.
heard.
So work the angles. But as far as like you said, when we first see it, and everybody usually sees these things, not knowing that they're not Swan Electric's
Yeah.
wires, and they just call.
Yeah.
I don't think they're aware.
No,
So
most
if there's
people,
something
any
we
wire,
could
they
do
think
to
it's
get-
power. Most anybody thinks it's
To
power.
get the list of numbers of the people that they should kind of call.
Yes,
We
we
call.
typically,
Yeah.
you know, if I see that, I'll either have the power plant or one of the office personnel call whoever it is and let them know that this is, whether it's a down wire, service wire to a house or
Mhm.
whatever, they get notified of these things. So we do notify them, but sometimes it just goes into a little work order that goes on
Into
this
the
guy's
void.
desk, yeah, and I don't know that they ever see it.
Right,
And it
well,
seems
like.
like-
Knowledge and public activation might, as you say, if that works, and there might be something that we can do to get those
Sometimes
numbers
that
to the
helps.
public, and
Yeah,
they can start
right,
versus.
I appreciate the conversation on it too, you know, it's, I'm not throwing stones by any means, Dwayne, it's a difficult job, you know, and, if anything, we can call it transparency.
Okay,
Yeah. Super.
good information.
Is that the end of
that's the end of my presentation.
your presentation? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and, yeah, you guys all do excellent work, and you're never without power in the village for very long.
Thank you, we try. Yeah, I'll let
Yes,
my
thank
crew-
you very
I'll let my
much.
crew know.
Yeah.
You have a very good group of people.
Get
We do.
blinking clocks rarely.
We do, we do, and we do have it, we are looking at the retention and, what's going on
Is it
down the
what
road,
you
so
do?
we're working well with the young
If
guys.
Dwayne moves into your spot, who
Adam,
moves
can you see
into
the owl?
Dwayne's?
If Darren, you
You
mean,
got, yeah, Darren, you got
Adam?
3 people who are already,
Can you see the board?
first class.
can't, I mean, they
2
can't move into that position.
Yeah, well, there's three first class below me,
Right,
and
but you
then
have
there's 2 apprentices.
3 that are related, that can't, they can't move into that.
3 that are related?
Yeah,
No, Tanner and Jody aren't related.
or not.
No, you know their last name is Benoit, they're not.
Yeah, that's,
So,
that's true.
So actually, he does,
Okay, I thought
He
you
does
were
know
that's ridiculous.
how that
You have
works.
2 that can't, but you have 2 that can,
yes, yes,
so it looks like Tanner might be
so
the man
possibly to, you mean like to step into Darren's?
to Darren's, if
That's a
Darren steps
possibility.
into your
Yeah.
position,
Yeah.
is that what we're?
Possibly, yes.
Because he is first class,
Yes, he
already,
is.
right? And the
Yeah.
other 2 still have another 2 years, I believe, is what they told me
Yes,
when I
that
talked
is
to them
correct.
last week.
That is correct, yeah.
Sometimes I just sit and talk with your boys when
Yeah,
they're.
that's good, that's all fine, yeah,
We'll
so.
talk contract tomorrow morning over coffee.
We'll take you out to breakfast on Bill.
He doesn't drink coffee, so.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, I appreciate it. You guys do good work.
Thank you,
Keep
Dwayne.
it up.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
Dwayne,
You're welcome to stick around, or you may be excused.
All right.
go home.
Thank you. I will.
Good night. Take care, Dwayne.
Thank you.
See ya.
And number 9, Swanton Village Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary Coin Drop Request for July 2024. Is this the last coin drop for the summer?
No, so you guys, the village trustees approved the auxiliary holding a coin drop on June 22nd with a rain date of June 29th. It got rained out both weekends.
Okay.
They are requesting, because there's none being held in July, if they could do one Saturday, July 13th, which is this weekend, with a rain date of July 20th. And that doesn't interfere with the car show or, you need something, Dwayne?
Thank you.
Bill, for just 1 second.
You need me out there?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Can you
yeah,
continue
if they got
with
rained out
that?
in June and are requesting July.
I'd like to make a motion because, to approve their request. And I thought we had approved it already.
You did.
That's what I thought
I'll
too.
second, I
So-
will second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Diane. My mind isn't completely gone yet.
So are we amending a previous motion to approve, that we already pre-approved this?
No, I would just make a motion to approve.
Just a motion to approve?
Yeah,
that'll
that's
work.
what I think.
Okay, so we have a first and a second motion. Any further discussion?
No?
All in favor of the Ladies Auxiliary Coin Drop request for July 2024?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Motion carried.
Oh, you didn't say anyone opposed?
Oh, anyone opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed? Okay. So, one opposed,
2 yea, 1 nay.
2 yea, 1 nay. Motion carries.
Democracy in action.
There we go.
And so just for the record, and I'll post it as they come up, but,
Were there
July,
4?
there's 1, and next month is the fire department, and that's it. It was a short year, we only had 3.
Only had 3?
The
Who's good?
Abenakis, Lacombe Food Pantry, Ladies Auxiliary, and Fire Department.
We still
Okay.
have some openings,
So they allow 6, we only had 3.
so I thought there was some openings.
Okay. And number 10, village manager update, Bill?
Okay. We're just gonna talk about the highlights that are going on. So we'll start with the river crossing. Project kicked off, I think most people in town are aware, June 24th. They are pretty much done, maybe a little more prep work on Webster Terrace to get the road ready for the subcontractor to come in. So, the overall recap of the project's pretty simple. Starting at the end of the bridge, the far end of the bridge at Foundry Street, it connects there. It's gonna be what will become our new water line. It goes down Foundry, pretty close to the fishing access, across, down 30 to 35 feet under the river. It comes out on Webster Terrace, it goes up and makes the connection on Canada Street. So the connection on Canada, that was last week, everybody got the notices. A very small number of houses lost water for 4 to 5 hours, it turned out to be, a little bit longer than expected. Back online now, that was them making that connection. They're now pretty much connected down the hill. They can't terminate because they gotta wait for the drillers. The drillers, we're waiting for the pipe that's gonna go under the river to arrive. We anticipate in about a week, and then the drilling will begin. The drillers will come in shortly after that, and unless you heard differently, they will not give me a date certain yet for the drillers. So it's, let's go 7 to 10 days before the drillers are here and they can do that. They'll do their drilling, connections will be made, and they'll go from there. But the boat launch is now officially closed. There's some important work that's gonna happen tomorrow morning, throughout the day. So there's a flyer that got posted on our Facebook account that we went door to door with. So between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. tomorrow, there's gonna be a little bit of difficulty with ingress, egress onto Foundry Street off of the Depot Street Bridge, off of 78. It does not mean that if you live there, like we explained to the residents, that you're not going to be able to have access. It's just gonna be problematic at times. It's gonna be a very tight spot while they do their water tap on Foundry Street to make that connection. So
Are
if
they
people,
gonna
go
be
ahead.
out without water?
No,
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't.
John did not mention that. I don't
No,
think
I don't think
they're
they're-
tapping into a different location
Yep,
altogether.
correct. So I don't think it's gonna be any water issue, it's a traffic issue. So there were some residents, when they went door to door, that said, we have to leave early. If you're out of there before 7, you're okay. It's just be prepared to wait in the queue, so to speak, in traffic before you're allowed to move on. So again, that project is well underway, they're on time, they're on budget at this point, but it's pretty darn early in the project, and any of those unforeseen things are very likely to happen with a subcontractor that's drilling under the river, not with what's happening now.
Is this where the road is torn up on Canada Street?
Yes.
Okay, right near Spring.
Yep, so Webster Terrace is that T, so if you take a T off Canada, head toward the river,
Yep,
that's Webster Terrace, that's
There's
the
the
exact path it's going down.
huge equipment down the hills,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I've seen, you guys have put notices out online, I've seen
Yep.
those too, but I didn't know where Webster Foundry really was exactly.
Yeah, Webster Terrace is not a well-known, there's not a lot of homes on it, but that Webster Terrace goes down, and that will be improved ground for the drilling equipment to get down on that side, because that's really gonna be their primary point of ingress into the bedrock.
On the Canada Street side. I thought
Well,
it was from the other side.
it
They were
is,
coming
but they
over
gotta
and
do-
Coming back up on
They
this
gotta
side.
do, it's both ways.
Both
'Cause
ways.
when I was talking to Jay,
Do
the
that.
super, that they were, the pipe will come in that way,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean the boring, you know what I mean? It's,
Yes, it's a two-part process.
It is.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty funky technology. I've gotten a little bit of background on it from John.
Yep, it is.
But it'll be a 14-inch pipe and drilling thing that's going underneath, directional drilling
Yeah,
under the river.
which is pretty.
And then they're
phenomenal.
gonna slide a 12-inch pipe,
Mhm.
I guess
I know.
welded and fused together,
Yep.
different intervals, and then pop through, and they gotta like certify every connection.
Yep, and I was gonna ask for a slice of it, and I will get one, a small slice. You have to see the pipe and feel it to appreciate it. It's plastic pipe, so you just say that to people, plastic pipe, and they're like, you're kidding me, that's gonna be your main line, it can handle all that pressure. It is 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick.
And John explained to me,
Yeah.
it is milk crates, and it's same plastic.
Yeah.
You know how you never see a broken plastic milk crate, hardly, the black ones?
Right.
That is the same, exact same plastic they use in this pipe, except it'll be an inch plus thick,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Yeah.
pretty great technology. Any more questions on the river crossing project?
Not now.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow morning will be interesting.
Yeah, and it's the kickoff of all things traffic related, right? We know it's a lot to ask of our citizens at one time, there's a lot of projects at one time, but this is why we plan projects for them to reach the point where you're actually doing them and making the improvements. The next thing on the agenda is Diane Day, over here on my left, has just completed 25 years of exemplary service to the village.
Yay.
You're not old enough.
Crazy, isn't it?
So,
Quarter century award?
no one does it better, and you know how some people love plaques and some people don't. So I do want to have a discussion with the trustees. It's not an action item now, it's just it's something to think about. But we need to memorialize in our employee handbook that if you don't want a plaque, you should at least get something in the form of a gift certificate at the 20, 25, and 30-year mark, because it's pretty special, and that's hard to get. So we'll talk more about that. I just want to put it on the radar at this point. But again, Diane, thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it.
I guess so we've been talking about the one construction project,
Mhm.
and on the 10th, the other one.
That's next. So the bridge update, so it starts on July 10th. And I think everybody knows that there was one bidder, really good company, Dirt Tech, and we had negotiations with them. The original loan bid was $451,000 and change. We negotiated that down approximately $100,000. Had to hire our own engineer to verify the work, the daily progress of the work, the type of concrete, the materials and things like that for $10,000. We have spent a considerable amount of money in ensuring that we do this better than they ever could have done it with that traffic control and traffic calming effort. So here's kind of what I mean by that. Their original plan that we took over called for 6 variable message boards. We now have 11. So including exit 17 northbound, Albert Four Corners on Route 78 before you turn on Route 2 before turning onto 78, and then 9 additional locations. So that does kick off. Public Works comes in on Wednesday at 4:30, starts on the outer perimeter, taking off the garbage bags from signs, getting them ready to go. The police department will arrive, 3 of them for this specific detail, at 6 a.m., and they'll be present when they do the Jersey barriers on each end. So that's the biggest concern, is right away that little transitional period is problematic, right, where people are first starting to think about it. I just want to highlight a couple of different things that we did, because we promised them. At our joint meeting, we had a discussion. There were some concerns about traffic trailer ingress and egress throughout this 5.5 mile detour. So we worked, and I want to thank Swanton resident Roger Ledoux, who happens to be my brother-in-law, but he put Dean in the front seat of a 53-foot trailer and did the entire tour. And we moved 1 stop bar back on Beebe, but other than that, not saying it's easy, but with limited difficulty, he was able to navigate each and every turn, and it made him feel a lot better, because he talks to a lot of people who were concerned. And I saw him over the weekend, and he just said it's doable with limited difficulty. So That's in the books. We have flashing LED solar lights in front of 87 South River at that sharp corner. So if you go by there at night, it's very well lit. They didn't ask for that specifically, but I think it's a very welcome solution. The biggest change, we are doing 3 temporary traffic control signals. Not much, there'll be some flashing yellow, but not really. It'll be mainly flashing red or green. One on each side of BB Road on Route 7 and one on BB Road. The concern was putting up a stop sign on Route 7 for people that travel that road every day and have forever. They're not gonna see it, or if they see it, it's not gonna register. So the flashing, we're gonna cover the stop signs or remove them. Those lights are gonna be installed at 9:30 tomorrow morning. They'll just be all on flashing yellow, or they won't be programmed and activated until 8 AM on
So they'd
Wednesday.
be red, yellow, green.
primarily green on 7th.
Yeah.
With the timer set where we can make adjustments.
Sure.
You know, they're gonna show us how to do that. And there's gonna have to be an understanding and adjustment through all of this. Unless they did it today after I went through the fog lines, we did a contract, for just under $4,000 with L&D line striping to put fog lines on South River. Just to kinda highlight it, brighten it up, just again, awareness for those people navigating that have never seen it before.
Staple down things, fog lines.
No, white
No,
painted
just the
lines.
white line.
Yeah, white painted
How
lines.
far up did you go?
We'll go all the way up to BB,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I
At our expense,
That's
and
good.
I think for safety, it makes perfect sense. And I just wanna, I wanna highlight something, cause I don't think the public quite understands this. We had only $4,000 in that contract for any type of traffic control, meaning, flagging on site on the bridge itself. That's what they had in their contract. We're gonna make a dedicated presence, our police department will be dedicated to this, multiple people every single day in there, let's call it traffic calming. It's, traffic enforcement's probably gonna be tough, because I think the speeds during those rush hours are gonna be so slow. It's really just moving people along. So I'm talking about even getting out of the cars and making sure you really can't just say, you got green lights here at North River, South River. You gotta be aware of Depot Street and trucks.
Yeah, that's another.
That's funny. Snoring, that's funny. I hope the camera catches that. It's not the first time I put somebody to sleep, their puppy. The ingress and egress of tractor trailers coming off of Depot, we gotta be mindful of that. So we'll probably try to have a presence there, but we are doing, above and beyond what was suggested, and at the end of the day, I think the signs cost us about 20,000, meaning the street signs. The variable message boards under 10, we'll have some overtime. We should save about $50,000 by doing this ourselves. The trade-off is, we're gonna have a tired, overworked team, that's now work from other areas is being deferred, but it's not forever. This is a 20-day project. Many other team members are chipping in. So the other really good news is, remember we initially had gotten a $175,000 grant. That's before I arrived. Shortly after I arrived, we asked for more money. We got $25,000. We said, you know what? Why not take another shot at a grant this year? We put in. We were told initially we got another 175. No, we got 200,000.
Yeah.
So we got 400,000 total. We're gonna be real close to being able to cover this without going over. It's gonna be darn close, razor thin close. Probably gonna go over by a smidge, but not nearly as much as we thought when we first started talking about this. Any questions on the bridge?
I just ask that the public please be patient, help each other, support,
Very important.
and if the truckers are aware, they'll take a different route. And once it starts, and they haven't read the signs, they'll make their decisions.
Yeah.
And I hope,
Be kind.
I hope,
Mhm.
I think the best thing is that just traffic will continue to flow, and it'll be a shorter period of time versus a longer dragged out stops.
And just to remember that our downtown businesses are still gonna be open, so they're gonna need us to step up and
Yep.
patronize them.
The other question, Siobhan, I do see your hand, the other question before I lose track, a lot of questions, a lot of phone calls about the bridge period, but you will have access the entire time to Marble Mill. So even though the Jersey barriers are closing off traffic at the top of the hill for obvious safety reasons, if a tractor trailer makes a mistake and comes up to that, they can turn around. They have to miss about 4 signs to do it, but they will, somebody will.
Somebody will.
There will be another set of Jersey barriers on the left side, so that theoretically, at most times, if not, they'll have traffic control there. You're gonna be able to come down, drive behind, through the VFW, by the VFW, and go into Marble Mill. I say that especially for Pickleball Nation, because they've been asking. And I
Pickleball
think you've been
V2
getting
here,
phone
so
calls
is
as
that
well,
up?
so they're aware, and that access should be there for the whole time, so,
That actually answers part of my question.
okay.
I was wondering how, when you're standing at the top of Merchants Row, looking down towards the VFW and at the bridge, would you be able to drive to Marble Mill and Ferry Street by VFW? And you say that there's gonna be barriers up, but
Oh,
you'll be
yeah,
able to
hard
drive?
Hard Jersey barriers that you can't drive.
Those are
through.
those large concrete,
Concrete
They
things
are.
you see
They, you
downtown, yeah.
know,
So you might have saw a couple, because I saw the
I
post.
saw that, yeah.
So there were a couple, that's all, anything that you see now that looks like barriers for construction that are made out of wood with orange and white, or concrete, that we're pre-staging on the various sides to get ready for Wednesday morning.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And where are those ones going to be put exactly?
So just past, we can't block that last driveway right before Roy Insurance. So just past that, I don't have the plans exactly in front of me, but not far past that, kind of on a line to the outside edge of the laundromat, a little
Like
bit
near the
on the village
crosswalk.
side. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And there'll be a lane for like cars, is that what you're saying?
No, no.
They have to
No,
go down.
you
They have to
Ferry.
go the back way
Correct.
by the
That's
left
right.
side, okay,
Yes.
that's what I was asking,
Yes,
you
yes.
still need to
Yeah, yeah,
drive it, but you can only access it through the back way.
right. The
Marble
only
Mill,
exception to
VFW.
that will be known in advance delivery of materials for the bridge. Dean and his crew will take the excavator, get this stuff out of the way, let
Move
the
the
tractor
barriers,
trailer down,
yeah.
and move it right back behind them.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
And obviously, you'll have notices at Canada Street for trucks that, you know, you can't go this way, you go that way. My other
There are
question is,
lots of signs.
I know you mentioned, traffic lights and whatnot.
Yep.
On the opposite side, obviously, people will need to be able to, say you're coming from Alberg,
Mhm.
and you're facing South River
Yep.
on north. That turn, obviously, will be shut down, but people need to be able to access that street that live along there.
Yep.
What's gonna be put in there? Will there be like somebody flagging during traffic time that allows a lot more traffic to just go instead of a stop? It's already
At
on.
high congestion times, yes, but the rest of the time, it's really just, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. It backs up on Route 78, sometimes a half a mile on a normal
Yeah.
day. And conversely, going through the village, it backs up to First Street at between 4 and 5 in the afternoon. It is just, it is stop and go. Again, it's a one-lane ingress egress, and it still will be for 10,000 cars a day. It's gonna get backed up and like,
One lane?
well, one lane in and out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so really nothing changes except it's a 5 mile detour.
So during the busy times, you guys will have somebody like there just
Yes.
saying, go, go, go,
Mhm.
and then letting the people crossing and the trucks.
Yeah, there's not a lot of traffic at all times coming off of Depot.
Not all times.
So,
no.
we can literally park a car, cruiser on the Depot Street side and have somebody and just be like, let's go. But I fear, and the public should be aware of this, it doesn't matter if somebody's standing there, it's gonna back up far enough where
Yeah,
you're
it's still going
still gonna be at stop and go traffic.
It still will.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting.
It will be.
Somebody's doing
Other questions in reference to the bridge project? Okay. 6 South River, former site of the Hotel Riv, the requests for proposals were due back by July 1st. We received one proposal from Green Mountain Habitat for Humanity, and that was it. So we have to evaluate internally what next steps are, but that was the only proposal received. Wastewater, again, this is really no change from the last meeting. The apparent low bidder remains Kingsbury Construction. It is pending final review by the state of Vermont. This should have probably happened by now, but I'll be kind. Hopefully during this week, we'll get a final approval. That way we can finalize the contract, get the centrifuge portion of the project underway so that we can get that installed, so we can dewater our sludge, because it is building up.
It's here, right? The part is here.
The centrifuge is at wastewater, sitting there, so it's not as much of a plug and play. You gotta update a lot of the electrical components, but it'll be the first priority once we get final approval.
Oh, okay.
And the last update is hydro. Couple things on hydro. So the control ring for Unit 1 still remains on site. What we're battling now is to take it offline, you have to drain the penstock, meaning you stop all hydroelectric generation. Right now, we're trying to peak. Just before the meeting started, we were producing just over 7.3 megawatts, and that's massive in this time. So this is just, if you ever look at ISO New England, the power market and what megawatt hours, kilowatt hours cost on the open market, it just balloons in times where there's peak power. And today, we were covering our load instead of spending $400 per kilowatt hour, which is it's unbelievable cost. So year to date, and I'm gonna hand this out, yours to keep, this just shows the generation. Right now, we are 1,623 megawatts production above last year, which is 1.6 million kilowatts. So I think we'll end up just posting this online or something like that. I don't know if she wants to take a shot at it. You can't really see it, so.
How much extra red is that?
It depends. If you're covering your load, if you're not, if it's going back on the market, on the grid, and you're selling it. So many factors. Here's the warning part, where we're not getting much rain right now. We might get rain on Wednesday, but we 100% live and die by Mother Nature. So you can see the year-to-date comparison, previous years. We're doing quite well. We're actually, I've already surpassed one year. I think it was the drought year of 2021. I don't have a copy in front of me anymore.
Yes, sir.
But so we're doing well now, and that very much bodes well for us, because it's a good thing. And then, with Unit 1 and 2, people are concerned about the loss of generation with those being down. They're both 1 megawatt units. They would not be being utilized right now anyway. We are taking every bit of water that is spilling through our penstock now by peaking, and we're producing 7.3. We produce that without Unit 1 and Unit 2. And that's true unless we get the 2 inches of rain that is forecast, and then we'll start spilling again. But so far this year, knock on wood, it's been a good year for generation, which is good for our ratepayers. And again, so this, Siobhan, this is kind of for you, right? Dwayne was here, he runs the electric crew.
Yep.
Dan Chevalier runs the hydro. Once that generation leaves and becomes transmission and distribution, that's Dwayne's. Until then, the production responsibility is the hydro. So while they're separate, they're kind of together, but it's
Yeah.
two separate true entities. And we make our money and we keep our rates low based on the efficiency and effectiveness of Dwayne's shop, but as importantly, how we produce our electricity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is April of 03 record for us?
I would say so. Well, I don't know about all time. There's some, we have all-time numbers. I'm not sure about all-time.
Oh, okay, 2002, I see down there.
Yeah.
So 6,000 plus.
Yep. Any questions about hydro?
When are you gonna dewater the?
As soon as there's a drought,
Yeah,
we'll
drought.
de-water,
If
we'll go
we-
in
If we
and,
get one.
we'll get one.
Oh,
We'll get one. So as soon as, it's a cost-benefit analysis. As soon as we want Unit 1 back, because Unit 1 performs better in the summer when you're at minimum flow, and you can use that for generation. And I'm gonna say the end of July, first week of August. So they use that to inspect the penstock, walk through it. If you want a tour, you can get in the,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
what
get
I
in the
want.
white suit,
That's what
you
I
can
think,
go
yeah.
in
Oh, go
there,
through
you
the-
can go in the bladder,
Yeah.
you can do
No,
all of
no
that if you
thanks.
want. That's what I say too, I'm like,
Do it.
that's good.
No,
done
no,
that?
I'm claustrophobic,
Oh,
no,
okay.
thank you.
They videotape
However-
it,
That's a big
So you're not up for the damage,
I'm
not up for the
I'm not
airlock?
up for that,
I think it's
they
really cool.
videotape it
But
for
I-
you and show you, so,
yeah.
yeah.
Take a look from the outside there.
But Dan did say to come up and check out the control ring before he put it on the,
Yeah, I saw it the other day, it's
Okay,
it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, going inside the bladder is funky.
no thanks,
Oh, that's
no
a
thanks.
good- that's a good-
You don't really see anything, you got a bright
No,
headlamp, but you don't see anything,
so
it's pitch
dark,
black.
even with the headlamp, it doesn't seem to
Mhm.
absorb or
But
project
inside the
much
fence
light.
dock is interesting too.
I've never been in that part.
Really?
Yeah.
You can go in that part when we do it,
Alright.
we'll keep you posted,
Keep
so
you posted.
that's all I have.
And I'm healthy, I'll go.
May I ask a, question, Hotel, Riviera update? The one request for proposal we received was from the, Grand Isle, Franklin Grand Isle Habitat. for
Green
Mountain.
Green Mountain Habitat for
Green
Humanity.
Yeah,
If
Franklin
that's the
Grand Isle doesn't
same,
exist
they
anymore.
must have just changed their name.
No, they just, it was, Franklin Grand Isle was a subchapter of Green Mountain, and it just doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
So Green Mountain manages the whole thing.
Oh, okay, so it's just, okay, so it is the same. Are you able to tell us like what was in that proposal, that they proposed to like possibly buy the place?
So I'm gonna look to my right, and this is what is listed for executive session, and you have to make a decision
Okay.
on what you wanna do here.
All right.
So you guys like decide whether you wanna openly talk about what they put in for an RFP, request for proposal? And
Yeah, either wait for more time to see if there's more out there, or pass.
how long has it been, put out for a proposal?
The deadline for submissions was July 1st, but it's not like a normal hardline RFP. If there are people out there that really still wanna do it, so here's the danger. The trustees can decide to talk about this completely in open session. Then they're disclosing every detail about that proposal. Or they can wait, have a discussion about it in executive session, and like David just said, then you might want to re-engage on this to see if there's more interest out there. But that's up to them.
I want the executive session for discussion.
How long has this been out there for a proposal?
30 days?
Yeah, about 30 days,
Yeah.
pretty close to that. Yep.
So not
That's the
long.
average wait, 30
Right.
days for a
But
request.
the request came in just a few days ago, right?
Yeah, well, just before July 1st. So that's the fine line. We're obligated to publicly say, we received one bid, here's who it's from. And then the details can be discussed in executive session. There's not gonna be an action item on this tonight at all. It's gonna be a dialogue discussion, and then they'll direct me for what next steps we take.
Okay. And an executive, there won't be action, but you guys will discuss whether you want to keep it open for more proposals, and discuss the details.
Right.
So we had Adam for executive, and I guess the next step is what the rest of the board thinks for. And thank you for painting it that way, it
Yep.
really clears it up and it helps, you know?
But I think discussing the details in executive session is what we should do, because it keeps, if we're going to open it up for more, we don't let out what
Can't,
these people have
correct.
options.
We would just say it, if we're not ready to accept.
Right, but we
Yeah.
would go into an executive session to discuss what they've proposed and discuss why we either feel we should do it or should not do it, and then what our next steps are gonna be. That's what I think we should do.
Yeah, no, that makes,
Well, from the audience perspective, with Bill saying there's no action that's gonna be taken, it's discussion, I would agree. Executive session, because you wouldn't want to say how much Habitat is offering and then let other possible people undercut that or slightly over it or not give you, you know what I mean? Compare that, and that's where the competitive marketing comes in.
and who knows, maybe it's
And
A full
that'd be
100%.
especially if, nothing were to
Wow.
be made as a decision
You've been waiting a long time.
as far as signing contracts or
Been
accepting,
waiting some more.
That's my opinion.
if that makes sense.
But, yeah, so,
But that's just in response to Siobhan's question. We still have number 11
number
on
11.
the agenda.
So we're all done with the manager's update?
Yes.
Okay, moving along, number 11, any other necessary business?
I just have a few things. So last meeting I spoke about, we were gonna have a promote Swanton meeting, which we had here on the 28th.
How'd that go?
And it went really well. We had a lot of good ideas that were kicked around, and I think everybody was sent a copy of the minutes. And Diane, can we get those posted on the website at some
Could you
point?
email me a copy?
Yeah, I will.
I can email those to you.
Perfect. And then, and then so out of that, we had a lot of good ideas, but we decided we're gonna focus on making the brochure. And we're going to be working with the chamber on a website that's similar to St. Albans, where you can, see what the options are, hit it, and it will bring it up on the map. And we have a meeting about the website on the 12th, Adam?
August 12th at 5:30, I think, or 5. Yeah.
So that's coming along. And then there's just a couple upcoming events. This Saturday is Wear Blue to Remember, where we honor military service members who were killed in action. Self-paced 5K with a circle of remembrance, starts at 5 o'clock at the rec in the lower field right off the LVRT. 26th is the block party from 5 to 8 in the square and the green. Adam's car show on the 27th. Adam, what time does your car show start?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 to 2:30, yeah, 2:30 we start announcing awards.
Perfect. And then August 10th, we have the Corn Fest 5K, which starts at noon and follows into the Corn Fest. So sign up for that, the 5K at Swan Rec
You said
website.
August 10th?
August 10th.
And we also have the Citizens Band on the 29th from 7 to 8 p.m.
I keep
What?
forgetting.
July 29th?
So they're coming
Yes,
back,
sir.
I heard good things about the last day we just here, right? Or
I
was
think
it
it's a different band.
Different band?
Yeah, that was
Citizens band?
the
Different band, yeah.
rock band.
Citizens Band has been rained out on us 2 years in a row,
Wow.
and that's with a rain date. So we decided we're gonna shoot for one and hope, pray for good weather.
I assume it's in the park.
And,
Yes, sir.
Is the Citizens Band just a singular event, like where you guys just had them come in?
Yes. Yep, yeah, July 29th, 7 to 8, sponsored by the chamber.
And the downtown open for business signs or banners are up and
They're up, yes, and thank
They
you
look
to
nice.
Dan and Josh
Yep.
and Bruce Whalen, for helping me get those up, in the locations.
Thank you.
It was very helpful.
Suzie,
Yes,
the August 12th, 5:30 meeting about the website, is that the Swanton Chamber of Commerce website? Or
We're working with the,
It won't be the chamber website, it'll be it may be an offshoot, it all depends what we come up with. So,
I remember being at a meeting where, Mr. Noel, I don't remember which one, had just updated the chamber website. It was better for a little bit. But I'm
Yep.
glad to see you guys improving it, because the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce website is really great, and it's a lot of connectors to a lot of different things, so.
absolutely, and they have paid employees.
yeah, one of the things we kicked around at the meeting was, discussing, how better to promote Swanton, as a whole. So we wanna eventually start working on having connections through the website the joint website that we have, but we're not ready to tackle that yet. So we wanna tackle the brochure, working with the chamber, and then we've discussed, working on an operator's manual, that we're hoping to roll out later this year. Which is mostly, I think it's Bethel or Bristol has one that we wanna model it on.
Yeah, so Nicole Draper told me about this.
Yes.
There was an intern at the rec department that was helping to work
Yeah.
on that. The Bethel
Bethel. That's all.
model is
Yep.
really good. and
Yeah, and that's
it's
what
just
we wanna do.
links right to everything, shares all that information, has resources. I agree.
Yeah, and I figured something if we want to for the older residents or, people moving into the Champlain Housing Trust, we could have like printed copies for them, cause I know not, our elders aren't all tech savvy and
Yep.
they like to have the brochure, the paper copy. So that's something that we're looking at down the line.
Sounds great.
And is that the end of any
That's
other?
the end of mine.
And then, anybody else have any other business?
Okay for now.
Okay,
Thank you.
do we have executive session? Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, so, I move that we find that we enter into executive session for the trustees to receive confidential contract information for which premature disclosure of it and the general public would clearly place the trustees and other at substantial disadvantage. Roll call vote on motion, so I say yes, we go into executive session. Eugene, what do you say?
Of course, yes.
And Adam, what do you say?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I move that based on our just findings that premature disclosure would place the trustees and other at a substantial disadvantage, we enter into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried to enter into executive session to discuss contracts and